The Indiana Pacers were supposed to be tanking right now, one of a handful of teams who entered the 2022-23 campaign seemingly more invested in the draft lottery than the season itself. But things haven't gone according to plan in Indiana, as the Pacers have been one of the NBA's most pleasant surprises through the first quarter of the year. The biggest reason for that? Tyrese Haliburton is a budding superstar, and he's already too good for the Pacers to tank. The irony here is that the Pacers have spent most of the last 4 decades avoiding a tank or full-blown rebuild like the plague. Indiana's only suffered 3 50-loss seasons over the last 36 years, and when the team was awarded the 6th overall selection in the 2022 draft, it marked the Pacers' first top 6 pick since 1988.
Well, that can't be right.
Though there's no championship to show for it, the Pacers franchise has been able to construct contenders for every generation without needing to sink to the bottom to do it. So when the front office seemed to accept its fate and head into this season with a team constructed to sink rather than swim, it marked a profound shift for the franchise. Some might even say a welcome development given that the 2023 draft class is headlined by some transcendent talent. Little did the Pacers, or anyone else, realize, however, that Indiana had already traded for a potentially transcendent talent last year. With more offensive responsibility than he had in Sacramento, Haliburton put up some impressive numbers before being traded for Domantas Sabonis last season. But the Pacers went 6-20 with their new point guard in the lineup. What Haliburton has done through the first quarter of the 2022-23 campaign has been much more impressive and impactful. Haliburton has had the Pacers offense on a string while keeping opponents' heads on a swivel. He's fueled a top 10 offense by perfectly balancing his skills as an uber-efficient scorer and game-changing playmaker. When he's on the court, more than half of Indiana's non-Haliburton buckets are assisted by Haliburton. He's driving and getting to the rim more often while still leveraging the power of his passing. He's shooting the leather off the ball while feasting on an analytically savvy shot diet that sees 72% of his attempts either come from behind the arc or at the rim. In leading the league's 5th fastest team, Haliburton has opponents shaking in transition. Overplay your hand to stop him, and he'll find an open teammate for an easy bucket, often in spectacular fashion. Give Haliburton too much space though, and you're essentially giving one of the NBA's most devastating pull-up threats a green light.
Are those my only 2 options?
Add it all up, and Haliburton's averaging nearly 20 points per game on outrageous efficiency while leading the league in assists. The only other qualified 3-point shooters to average at least 19 points and 10 assists on 60+% true shooting in a season were James Harden and Magic Johnson. In recently carrying the underdog Pacers past the Nets, Haliburton notched his 3rd career game of at least 15 assists with 0 turnovers, something only 12 other players in history have done 3 times. The catch? Haliburton has done it 3 times in his last 28 games. This feels like a good time to remind you, by the way, that Tyrese Haliburton is 22 years old and only a quarter of the way through his 3rd pro season.
It's too good to be true!
In Haliburton, the Pacers have already found the type of foundational star teams tank for. If he ends up costing them ping pong balls in this year's lottery, which even the worst team only has a 14% chance of winning, then so be it. Besides, Indiana may have found another of those foundational stars during their rare appearance in the draft's top 6 last summer, with Bennedict Mathurin looking like a steal. The 20-year-old Canadian is in early contention to be the first rookie since Ben Gordon 18 years ago to win the NBA's 6th Man of the Year award. As a big shooting guard, Mathurin possesses a rare combination of shooting range and brute force as a driver, which has resulted in him parading to the free throw line. That rim pressure, foul baiting, and shooting makes Mathurin a perfect complement to Haliburton in the Pacers' backcourt of the future. Behind them, Miles Turner is quietly enjoying a career year. Turner's been one of the league's busiest and most effective rim defenders, while his offensive game looks more complete than years past. Turner's ability to protect the rim on one end while spacing the floor on the other makes him a coveted breed of big man in the modern era, especially now that Haliburton's helped him become more of a threat as a roll man in pick and roll actions. Playing on an expiring contract for a team that entered the season with lottery odds top of mind, Turner appeared to be an obvious trade candidate. But at only 26 years old, he can still be part of the next great Pacers team, especially when Haliburton's presence means that team may not be too far away. Unless Indiana's blown away by a trade offer, or Turner leaves no doubt he plans to depart in free agency, the Pacers should be thinking about how to keep the two-way big man. Indiana can still look to move veterans like Buddy Hield and TJ McConnell, and the team can still be reasonable about their short-term hopes. The Pacers have played one of the league's softest schedules so far, and despite an 11-8 start that had them sitting top 4 in the East, most projection models still peg them as a mid-30s win team that should be fighting for the conference's last play-in spot. But that's fine. As discouraging as the middle of the pack can be, there's a big difference between being a 35-40 win team fueled by young players who will serve as your foundation for years to come, and being a mediocre team that's already mortgaged the future just to get there, like the division rival Bulls, for example. Remember, the Pacers' preseason over-under win total was set at only 24.5. Plus, in addition to possessing all of their own first-round picks, the Pacers are also on track to have 2 extra first-rounders this season, so they've got plenty of draft capital. They would have liked to use some of it near the top of the 2023 draft, and they may still be able to if the season goes off track and the lottery bounces their way. But the presence of Haliburton, and to a lesser extent Mathurin and Turner, has the Pacers in good shape regardless of how this season or the lotto plays out. In typical Pacers fashion, they didn't even end up needing to tank to get here.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.